Oh, I see we're on my desktop. I better use PowerPoint. Oops. Try that again. Oops. Um, Son of a bitch. There we go. PowerPoint, which is weird because I made this in Google Slides. There we go. Let's go ahead and present. Chapter 8, Hiring Managers and Recruiters by Jay Axer. Sorry, everyone, I'm a little bit nervous. Hiring managers are most likely going to be your first encounter when it comes to being contacted about your application or if someone reaches out to you about a position. So basically, this is just going to be the people that are going to be recruiting, right? Remember, these folks are not usually subject matter experts. They're simply trying to find someone that fits by way of resume or portfolio. This means avoid using advanced jargon or terms they might not understand. Follow their lead on complexity of job-related language you use. So if they're talking, with industry jargon and you're familiar, you can continue, but you can always simplify the conversation, right? If you use excessive jargon, you need to, and it's just like industry terms, like you're a 3D artist and you're getting into technical terms, keep in mind they're a hiring manager, and a lot of times they're not familiar with the work specifically and anything above just the flow through a pipeline. So you might be losing them. So just talk casually. They might be in contact with a lead or director, or they could be acting on their own as a bulwark against bad candidates, only passing things along once they feel the candidate and or their work is worthwhile. They're going to be your partner through the hiring process, and the best ones will be rooting for you. And I will say that caliber of hiring managers over time has degraded. Don't expect that they're going to be bad, but experiences with them now are often less professional as the industry has put itself into a state where more people are looking for a job than jobs are available. So they just kind of figure like we can just pick and choose whatever. Oops. Let's see. I'm sure that's fine. Oh, There we go. They are often into games and love the industry. At the end of the day, these folks are people just like you and me and will come in all personality types. Realistically, a lot of the times you're going to get excessive enthusiasm from these people. Like a lot. Like I've actually talked with recruiters that were almost like off-puttingly like, whoa, like I smiled in an interview with a recruiter and they're like, see, that's that artist attitude I love. And like in my head, I'm like, most artists I know were miserable and like nervous wrecks, but sure, because you don't do art, that's how you feel it will be. Just, try and go in with a good faith approach. When you speak with a hiring manager, it is your opportunity to ask questions and explore what the position might be like. If they reach out to you and you are unsure if you meet all the requirements for a position, you can ask if there's flexibility. This is actually a really good point. You can always talk to them and have a conversation of uncertainty. You don't have to come off as an expert on everything. Just be like, hey, I'm a little unsure about this. I'm kind of here. Does this seem like a good match? Quality and mileage may vary. Some hiring managers are very thorough and great at their job. They are invested in the company, but also in the folks they are looking to recruit. These folks will keep good communication and be passionate about you if they feel you're a good fit. This, unfortunately, is not the quality of every recruiter. Yeah, it's generally going to be a good experience, but recruiters are ghosting people like crazy these days. You're a winner. Oh, maybe I probably shouldn't click that. Let's continue. Treat hiring managers kindly and patiently as they are your lifeline to a possible position. Never underestimate how important they are in the hiring process. By the way, this is going to be really funny if somebody comes in and they haven't been on this and they think that I've just been doing the whole damn presentation this way. I just completely out of my fucking mind, which is just better. Whoa, be aware. More and more recruiters will just ghost people. Oh, I heard that somewhere. Sometimes for the reason they feel you might not be a good fit. Sometimes, for seemingly no reason at all, they will simply stop corresponding with you and disappear. This is rude and unprofessional, but far more common these days as recruiters feel it isn't necessary to waste their time following up with prospective hires. I've been ghosted a lot. I was in the market the other year and I was ghosted by most of the recruiters who reached out to me. And it used to be, recruiters would be like, oh, it didn't work out. But now they just don't bother. Like they just stop responding. I've worked at I've worked at Blizzard previously, and then I had a recruiter reach out to me about a different Blizzard position, and they fucking ghosted me. Like it's normal. Don't take it super personal because it happens to everybody. And again, mileage is going to vary with recruiters. Sometimes you're going to get amazing sweetheart people, and sometimes you're going to get people who are just like they don't really care. Let's close that. If a recruiter reaches out to you for a role you have not applied for, ask them how they would prefer you apply. Usually they will have you list them as a recommended channel so they can push you to the top of a candidate list. I ran into this, right? Where hiring manager got a hold of me and was like, it's for this role. And I was like, oh, I should apply for it. And I applied for it. And they were like, wait, did you already apply for it? And I was like, yeah. They were like, you were supposed to use my recruiter code. And then they were like, well, it's already in the system. I can't undo it. And so I wasn't pushed to the top of the candidate list and they had to jump through a bunch of hoops. So really just ask, be like, should I be applying for this if you haven't already? Things like that. Be aware. Irresponsible hiring managers will do thorough interviews with you prior to even showing your portfolio to a director, which can waste your time if the second the director sees your portfolio, they feel you're not a good fit. This is a sad reality of how some recruiters behave. I had this happen. Cami had this happen. Other people have had this happen. It may happen to you. A lot of times they will reach out and they will have the incorrect idea of what the team is looking for, but they won't talk to the team first. And then they'll set you up with interviews, sometimes multiples, go through a bunch of hoops, have you apply for stuff, and then you won't hear back, or you'll hear back, oh, they decided you weren't a good fit at all, or you can't hit the style, which is a really fun one. And it's like, dude, you could have saved time by like having the leads or directors in on the candidate list before you reach out. But that's not always what happens, especially as of late. Sometimes recruiters will like what they see and wish to talk to you about a position, but at the same time offer advice for portfolio or resume adjustment. Take their advice prior to applying and always thank them for this. You're gaining insight specific to the company and or role that's being discussed. That's true. I had this happen with somebody at Bungie, actually. Specifically, I was going to apply for a position, but they were like, you won't be a good fit because this position is a kind of like photo bashing position. And I was like, yeah, I don't even really want to do that. But they took the time and were like, I can actually go over some stuff with you if you want for your portfolio because I see where you could improve it, which was amazing. And I've never encountered that, but I've talked to other people who've encountered similar situations. Go for it. Don't ever look that gift horse in the mouth, right? Having an interview just with the recruiter is a very common process. This will be getting they will be getting a feel for you and what you might be looking for. Treat this like you would any interview. Be enthusiastic, ask questions, and get a feel for what their culture is and the details of the role. Generally, your first interview is more likely to be with a hiring manager than anyone. Not always the case, but usually that's your first contact, both through email and then through any kind of video call or phone call. If you get pinged by a recruiter on LinkedIn or elsewhere and are not interested, reply anyway. This could be a bridge you can check into later. Yeah, never just ignore it. You never know what you need later. Certainly don't be rude in your response, even if they're rude to you. Always just respond and be thankful. You don't feel bad. You can always also be like, hey, maybe another time I might be interested down the line because I'm in the middle of something now. Sometimes the process of setting up interviews and talking to the team can be slow. Be patient with the hiring manager and don't be surprised if it's a week or more before further steps are figured out. Sometimes like 3 weeks, dude. Like the process can take a long time, a really long time. It depends. The bigger companies sometimes take even longer. if you're going to ping them during this process, don't ping them like 2 days later and ask like, where are you? Like, give it a little bit. But if it's been over a week, you can politely kind of be like, hey, just checking in, see where things are. Just want to let you know I'm still really, interested, that kind of thing. Being honest with a recruiter can go a long way. If you're nervous, feel free to say so. Having a good rapport will help position you to ask the questions that are important to you about the culture and position. Well, some recruiters are on sites like LinkedIn. They're just bots seeing who will respond. Be mindful if a recruiter's message looks like it was written by ChatGPT or has a live spelling mistakes. That's a big one. I have a LinkedIn section later, but it's a big issue that bots and kind of fake postings are there. So do not respond to everyone if it's really, really suspect. You can also kind of look into it. I'll get into that later. Know the difference between a headhunter and a recruiter. Headhunters are folks who work within a recruitment company to gather potential candidates and then present those to companies in hopes they'll be a good fit and be able to charge a fee. These folks are less likely to find a match and get hopes up when a company might not even be hiring for those roles anymore. These are not always negative, though. That's a big one as well. I mean, they're all big ones. That's why I listed them, right? Headhunters are going to be just general hiring companies that try to collect a cavalcade of possible game devs, like artists or whatever. And then they'll be like, oh, we think we have a good match for you. Sometimes they'll do an interview with you. I did an interview with one. And they're like, yeah, this is going to be great. We know just what they're looking for. And then they'll pitch that. And sometimes the company's like, dude, we're not even hiring. We're not interested or whatever. But they have arrangements where they can charge fees from companies by presenting a potential employee. So really it's in their interest to get you interested, even though it might not be worth your time. Just understand that that exists. It's not a thing that I see talked about a whole lot, at least in my circles. So be aware. Thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed my talk about recruiters in game dev. Oh, I think something's wrong with my computer. I think my nephew was on here and he was playing the Fortnite and oh shit. But oh, well, that's no good. Anyway, it's Q&A time, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that idiot's stupid presentation on recruiters. Is there any questions in or around hiring managers and recruitment? That one's kind of straightforward, so there may or may not be any questions, and that's fine. Yeah, take it easy, Vist. We're gonna actually stop here. I want to keep going because it's actually hard for me to kind of gear up to do this and get in the groove of it. But I know that it's going to be harder for people to stick around the longer we do this. So I don't want to take your entire Saturday. So after this Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and close it down. So this will be the final Q&A for now, and we'll do a part 2 on another Saturday around the same time. If you routinely forget LinkedIn exists, is it worth replying to recruit messages that are weeks or months old? Sometimes. I do it if it's 2 or 3 months old and be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I unfortunately was wrapped up with things and hadn't come around here, but I really appreciate you reaching out, and kind of take it from there. If it's been like a year or like 9 months, I usually don't, but I will sometimes look and see what they're associated with. And then you can maybe ping them and be like, I had a ping from a year ago and I apologize for not, I wasn't in a position or whatever. Do you still have any areas of interest? And kind of hope for the best at that point. They may look down on it, but it's really you can only possibly benefit from that because if they're looking down on it, they already were looking down on you anyways. So that's how I would treat that. But if it's within a few months, I always respond. And then at that point, I would say if you're looking for work, probably get on there a little more often. There is a LinkedIn chapter later on. Is LinkedIn the best site to use? Well, there's a chapter on that later on, so we'll get into that later. I don't want to talk all about LinkedIn right now. If I'm going to get into it later, but spoilers a little bit on that. It is a good place to use, despite that it seems like maybe the worst place to use. But there's a huge bunch of caveats on that. So, stay tuned for that. This chapter is kind of what I was talking about when I said the slides are going to get weird as we go forward, and they're going to get a little weirder in some cases. So just keep that in mind. How long do I work? I don't know. I worked on them over the course of like a month instead of drawing and other stuff. But yeah, we can go ahead and stop recording there. That's good. And